Chat, when there's a bag of chips or a box of crackers and the flavor of pizza, where do we collectively stand on that? Hey, chat, how are you? Whispers softly. So, went to West Sac Repair Cafe, and this is an event once a month where you can bring your bike and they'll fix a flat for you. They'll sharpen tools and knives. You can bring your computer there and they can try to work on it, I guess. Very limited. Everything is very limited. They'll fix your jewelry, or as rappers in the 90s used to call it, jury. And they'll also sew for you. They'll sew up your torn and tattered items. So I had a few things. I had a pair of blue jeans with holes in the crotch and 2 pair of undies, or as some like to call them, chonies, with the elastic waistband was separating from the underwear, the body of the underwear. Jeans I knew were going to be cool. Undies, I was like, they may or may not work on these. But there's no hole in the crotch. That is unrecoverable. But this is just a simple separation from the elastic waistband to the cotton undies. So I was like, I think I'll be okay. I think they'll do it. These are Abercrombie and Fitch undies, which say what you want about Mike Jeffries and their former sort of racist policy. They make quality stuff, and yes, it's pricey, but it's good stuff. I've had these undies for at least 10 years, maybe 15-ish, and it's just a couple separations, a couple tiny holes on 2 pairs of my chonies. They're laundered. I made sure to wash them, like Outcast said, so fresh and so clean. So I got that out of the way. So I took my bag of clothes to the West Sac Repair Cafe, and this month it was at the Holy Cross Parish on Anna Street, which is like this gym / Catholic school kind of thing. They had a manger there, which I was like, okay, that's something. Free pastries and coffee. Although when I got there, 10 a.m.-ish, it was 9 to noon were the hours. By the time I got there was only decaf. So I drank decaffeinated coffee like an animal, like a savage. So I was like, okay, my strategy is I'm going to give them the blue jeans as a warm up. Like, if we work on these first and then we'll get to the holes in my unmentionables. So hand the lady my pair of blue jeans. She's like, it'll be 15-20 minutes. She was working on something else. But she's like, you can go over there and they're doing this little class on email. So I was like, all right. So I go over there. I take a seat, and it was a younger gentleman, and the crowd was older folks. He had his telephone plugged into a laptop, and the image was projected onto the wall, and he was just saying, all right, we're working on email today. We're going to talk about folders and subfolders and syncing various Hotmail and Yahoo and all this stuff. And I was like, okay, but what about us Android folks? Yeah, I don't mean to take it back to 2009, but let's get into the iPhone versus Android debate. Yeah, I'm all about those arguments, okay? And then after that, we're going to argue about pineapple on pizza. And then, do you tip on takeout? And finally, is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Maybe. Who cares? If you spend 1 nanosecond of your time contemplating, debating, typing onto X, formerly as Twitter, on that quote-unquote debate, may God have mercy on your soul. One of the older gentlemen, it was all old people except for me. I'm young and spry, but I was like, this is not the demographic that Apple projects on their fun, frivolous iPhone commercials with the hipster music with their complicated jeans. But one old guy, he was like, I have an SBC global.net email. And I was like, wow, you're old school. What about Singular, bro? Actually, I worked for Pac Bell Internet, which transformed into SBC. and then singular came out of there somewhere, and then it broke apart again, and it's back to now it's AT&T. But anyways, wow, uh, telecom, telecom monopolies. Am I right? So I glance over. I see the lady is done with my jeans, and I walk on over, and she did the best she could. There was one big hole and one medium hole in the crotch area around the taint, if you will. And it doesn't look great, but it's functional, and I'm fine with it. It's free, and I was like, "Who cares?" And I said, "Well, do you have time to do a couple more small clothing items?" And she said, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And so I pulled out from my bag, like much like Harry Houdini would pull a rabbit out of his hat. I pulled out of my bag two of my intimates, my unmentionables, my undies. And at first she was like, "Oh, I know that sound. That's the sound of titillation." But then she was like, "Eh." And I was like, "Uh-oh, this is not going well." And she said, "I don't want to touch." And I said, "Okay, no problem, Grandma. Listen, I know it's been a while since you've seen a young man's chonies, but how about helping a brother out?" But she was just shaking her head back and forth. "No, no, no." And I was like, "Okay, okay. Can you ask any of the other sugar mamas here if they can hook me up?" But she didn't want to, so I was defeated. I was sent home packing the walk of shame with my holy underwear between my legs instead of my tail, that is. I was discriminated against. So I busted out my iPhone. I went on TikTok live and I started screaming, "Racism, discrimination, handsomeism." She refused to sue my torn and tattered undies. And so I'm going to report her to the Better Business Bureau, the Securities and Exchange Commission, and maybe the National Football League. So I called Carolyn. I said, "Honey, this nice old lady wouldn't sue my undies. So, girl, put your trad wife hat on and get your sewing kit out. I need my blue jeans soon." And that's what she did when I got home. And they look fabulous. They're once again working. I can put them on. And that's that. Take care. Brush your hair. Peace out. I'm Audi 5000 G Money. Gotta go late. See ya. Finn.